Hello folks, welcome once again to my channel, Jude Wawa Boss Ayong. In today's episode of the Expose with Wawa Boss, I will be talking about a topic I called Underdevelopment, Poverty and Crisis in Africa and the Western World Connection. I repeat, Underdevelopment, Poverty and Crisis in Africa and the Connection of the Western World. Now, basically, the EndSARS protest has opened our eyes to a lot of things, and basically, a lot happened during the EndSARS protest, and the government denied a lot of the claims made by the youths and the protesters, and the killings and shooting in Lekki, toll gates, and killings everywhere. They're saying that nobody was killed and all that. This topic is not actually about going into the details about the Lekki killings or about the EndSARS protest, but about a video I saw. I'll play this video after my comments so you guys can watch. A video of a lecture, probably in a university, taken by a white lecturer, maybe a professor, where he was talking about the need for Africans to remain underdeveloped, for Africa to remain poor. That is exactly the way the whites or the Western world wants Africa to be, for their own benefit. That they are going to do everything possible in their power to keep Africa this way, to keep Africa in crisis, keep Africa in poverty and underdevelopment. That is the way they can control Africa, because Africa has a very huge or massive base of resources, natural resources. So, over time, Africa has always been in the captivity of the Western world. That is why they came into Africa and colonized Africa and divided Africa into parts the way they wanted. The English took some part, the French took some part, Spanish people took some part, Portuguese, Belgians, and the rest of them. They divided Africa the way they wanted. I'll take Nigeria as a case of study. They amalgamated the northern part of Nigeria and the southern part of Nigeria for their own selfish benefit, basically. So there are so many crises that have gone in so many African countries, which is not actually a case of the Africans fighting themselves, but a case of an instigation from the West to keep Africans the way they are. There are so many African heads or leaders who government have been upturned, and I want to believe that most of them or some of them is not actually instigated by the people of that country, but by Western forces or Western interests, basically. So it is shocking that as recent as that video looks, that video cannot be more than 2-3 years old, this mentality of keeping Africa enslaved is still going on in the Western world. Like, they are taking it as a lecture excuse me, in a classroom, and people were listening to this lecture like it's happening. It is not like in the 90s or in the 18th centuries where slavery and all that played. Now this is 20th century, and lectures like this are still being heard. I was shocked to my bone marrow when I watched that video. Like, I never knew that such video would still be existing, or such teachings or lessons or seminars would still be holding in this 21st century. Like, it's really heartbreaking. That means no matter what we do as Africans, there's a limit to how developed we can be, because certain forces do not want us to get developed. Now, I'll take the French countries in Africa as an example. I have not verified that information, that the French colonized African countries still pay yearly a certain huge amount to France as a country, and they also keep their foreign reserve in French banks, and whenever they need money, they will apply to the French government as a loan. That is, now let me break it down into this so you guys understand. Like, I am the government of Cameroon, for example. I would have an account in a French reserve bank where I will be putting my reserve, my foreign reserve, in the bank. Now, if I want some money out of the money I've already deposited in the bank, the French government will give me that money as a loan that would accrue an interest. My own money I kept in the bank in the first place. You can imagine what Africans are going through in the hands of this Western world, Europeans, Americans, and the rest of them. Like, basically, that lecture, I would like you guys to watch it with an open heart. That lecture really opened my eyes up. You understand? These people do not want Africa to get developed, get exposed, get the necessary infrastructure and live up to the standard that they want. He even went further and said that once Africa gets developed, the standard, the life standard of Europeans would come down naturally. So they have to do everything possible to keep Africa the way it is. So guys, it is not only this protest about against NSAS, police brutality, against bad governance and all that is good, but the work doesn't stop there. We as Africans and Nigerians in particular should not only hold our government accountable, but also we need to organize ourselves, take power from these old folks, develop our country, develop Africa, and make ourselves first-class citizens of the world. Because the forces against us is so much, basically. This video has really made me understand that it's a global competition. Africa should rise and take its place in the global community. Not only trying to make some reforms and all that, we should be the leaders right now. The steps too much towards forming a political party, YDP, should start now. We should bring out candidates for election. We should vote for a candidate for presidency, not more than 40. Take over power and take over all political offices and all political positions. Then start growing our country. The minute Nigeria starts growing, other African countries will fall in line and tag along, and together we would have a united Africa, and we are going to compete globally with all other nations across the world. So Africa will no longer remain a dumping ground. Africa will no longer remain the black or dark continent like they call us in the Western world. Africa would also have the right to compete globally. You understand? They want to keep us the way we are. They want to stop us from developing. They want to keep us in crisis. They want to keep us in poverty because it's to their benefit, so that they can exploit our resources. But the youth of this generation, we should know better. I want this video to go viral, so every youth in Africa need to watch this video so that we know that the battle is just beginning, because it's not only about taking charge of African leadership, but it's about taking Africa to the next level. Alright guys, watch this video, drop your comments, please like this video, share it, let it go viral, and please subscribe to my channel. The video that I want you guys to watch will play now. Alright guys, thank you for watching guys.
We will not allow Sub-Saharan Africa to escape that. Okay, we do everything to keep Sub-Saharan Africa where it is, also impoverished. It's absolutely vital for the prosperity of everyone else. So let's get clear about that. Okay, and this means all the economic structures, all the global institutions, and the economics we teach everyone is all designed to keep Africa exactly where it is. And whether it is Europe or US or now China, it's always the same. We need Africa to be impoverished because we need those raw materials and we need them dirt cheap. Okay, so that's the message. It doesn't mean to say that there's nothing Africans can do. Of course there is. Okay, but this is the opposition that they're fighting. This is what it's about. Because if Africa does do something different, I assure you living standards of all those in Europe and North America and Asia is going to fall. Okay? And that is a big price to pay. I assure you that the West is not going to allow that without a big fight. Okay, so this is what it's fundamentally about. What I want to show you is how these structures are operating. It's just 20 minutes, so we can't do very much, but just to give you a little bit of an idea. And why I keep the ideology part there is because we are part of the producers of ideology. At universities and academic institutions, we are complicit in this whole enterprise. Okay, so the job of many Western academics is to convince Africans they have to keep doing what they're doing. Okay? And to show them it's your fault that you're poor. It's not our fault. It's your fault that you're poor. You know? So this is what we do in academic institutions, and I want to show that as well. Let me just start. This is what it's basically about, so you know what it's about. But I want to just show you the extent to which Africa is specializing in the production of raw materials and basic agricultural goods. We know the basic forces that have caused this underdevelopment. We know it's colonization. I will not discuss that very much because my colleague speaker is going to go into some aspects of this. But I do want to discuss the global economic structures, the global financial institutions, and economic ideology, briefly, to give you a flavor of those. Let me start with this. You can't really see it so easily, but if those of you who are interested, you want the PowerPoint, I'm sure we can make it available to you. But the thing that you really need to see is the top line. Okay? And the extent of dependency is captured by this statistic at the top. Okay? And you compare it with all other income groups, and what you see is essentially in that one statistic how dependent sub-Saharan Africa is on raw material production. Okay? This is the very heart of what makes sub-Saharan Africa beat. Okay? Here, just to have a look at one very important additional statistic, with all this export coming from sub-Saharan Africa, how much does sub-Saharan Africa account for in terms of global trade value? We know there are vast resources coming from there, but look at the bottom line in terms of global trade value. Look at that. 0.5%, 1975, 0.95%, going down to 0.1. To 0.1. Meaning that with all these vast resources being produced, how much are they getting for it? Nothing. Nothing. This is a very significant piece of data. Then I just want to show you what has happened to sub-Saharan Africa, because what we know, and from all studies, no country ever develops without manufacturing. Okay, producing raw materials will not take you anywhere. Producing basic agricultural goods will not take you anywhere. And let's have a look at how much manufacturing activity takes place in sub-Saharan Africa. We can look over the last 15 odd years, 15, 20 years. And we see manufacturing has actually declined as a percentage of the total. This is percentages of total production in sub-Saharan Africa, how much of it is accounted for by manufacturing. So this figure here is 17% of the total. Most of the rest, when we talk of industry, it includes manufacturing, but the bulk of it is mining. Okay? Raw material extraction. This is the bulk of it. And here we see actually raw material extraction has stayed the same. What has caused industry to fall is the fall in manufacturing production. This is deliberate because we will never, as Western economists, as Western policymakers, we cannot afford to allow Africa to industrialize and start producing manufactures. Okay, so we will do everything to stop that. And I'm going to show you how we actually block that. It's